Time is running out on the Toronto Blue Jays, and they don't have that many games left to figure this whole thing out. They haven't been hitting, they haven't been pitching well as of late, and they're playing a team that is directly above them now in the wild card standings in the Texas Rangers. They're still mathematically in it. They still have a good probability of making the playoffs, but time is really running out on this Blue Jay team for them to figure out. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. And yesterday was another rough loss by the Toronto Blue Jays. It was another loss in which they just could not get anything going offensively. The pitching let them down, and they just haven't been playing good baseball as of late. Now, we keep saying when the offense is going to turn around, when this is going to turn itself around, when the team starts to click. But we've waited 142 games now, or whatever it is, for them to start clicking. And it just hasn't happened as of yet, Nick. I don't know how many games left exactly are left in the season here, but time is really ticking on this Blue Jay team. And I don't know if they're going to be able to turn it around in time for the playoffs or to even make a significant run at that.
Yeah, and this was not a video we wanted to make 3 days ago before the series started, and we're not really ones to, be negative about the team very often, but today we're going to be not negative, but we're going to be realistic. But before we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 8,300, and I know a lot of Jays fans out there are upset, so let's just break down the game yesterday, going forward, and just the whole situation that the Blue Jays are in right now, because it's one that is still okay. It's just the way the Jays are playing is not ideal. And Peter, let's quickly go over to yesterday's game, and then we'll go over some of the playoff stuff and hear your thoughts on everything. The past two games, the Jays have not shown very much heart at all, aside from Kevin Biggio and Davis Schneider. Those two have been absolutely unbelievable. Kevin Biggio, we can make a whole video about him. He's just been a phenomenal piece over the past, ever since Matt Chapman's injury. But the offense did, nothing really. They scored 3 runs. One of those was the Davis Schneider home run, and the pitching also let them down. Hyun-Jin Ryu is being phenomenal coming off an injury. The bullpen started to waver as of late. Jimmy Garcia has been atrocious lately, and Trevor Richards has been bad since he came back. But I'm not blaming the bullpen. They've been taxed all year. What were your thoughts on yesterday's game? I don't really know how to put it in words. It seemed like when we were down 2 runs, the game was over early, just by the way that this offense has been playing lately. And I know you might go off here a little bit, so I'll let you take the floor here.
I got a word for you, Nick. The word is feeble, and that's what this Blue Jays lineup has been over the course of a full season here. They just haven't been able to get anything going. Their pitching has done whatever they've been able to do over the course of the season here, and they've gotten no support. Hyun-Jin Ryu has pitched his butt off ever since coming off the IL, coming off Tommy John surgery. Not sure if he'll even get a contract next year, and he's battling for you every 5th day out there. Kevin Gausman has worn himself out, start in, start out for your team, and he gets 0 run support. He's the one that gets the least amount of run support in all of Major League Baseball. Obviously, we know the Alek Manoah situation. We know that it hasn't worked out this season, but all your starters, all of your bullpen arms for the majority have been really good, and you've wasted a year of elite pitching, and who knows if they're going to be able to replicate that next year. Who knows if Eric Swanson is going to be a shutdown next season. Who knows if the starting pitching is going to be able to hold its own in a tough AL East next year. Now, you had a great opportunity. This offense has all the pieces to be successful, but they just haven't been able to do it. Now, I want to focus in on one player, and I know he's been the topic of conversation all year long for the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, you don't have to beat around the bush here. He just hasn't been good, Nick. He hasn't been good. Now, he's not ready to do damage on fastballs. He's late. He's trying to inside pitches. He's trying to hit everything to the opposite field. The power has been sapped out of his bat. And you look at those two guys. You look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette over the last 2 games. You know how many hits they have, Nick?
0.
0 hits. They're 0 for 16 combined in the first 2 games against the Texas Rangers. 0 for 4 yesterday for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 0 for 4 yesterday for Bo Bichette, and it's just been a reoccurring theme. 0 for 4 in the first game, 0 for 4 in the first game. It's just, it's not turning around, and we keep saying when it's going to turn around, this team's going to be special. And we look at the Phillies. We use them as an example of what they did last season and how they won 86 or 87 games in the regular season and managed to go on a magical run to the World Series and were 2 wins away from a championship. But they had sustained runs in that regular season of good baseball. The Jays have yet to have one of those runs where they look dominant. They have yet to have one of those runs where they win 6, 7, 8 games in a row. They just haven't been able to do it. And to be honest, I just think this is who they are. You could talk about the coaching all you want. You could talk about players underperforming, but at a certain point, we got to call a spade, and we got to be critical about this team and just I don't know, give in, and this is what they are.
Yeah, no, I think the way that you're feeling right now, and you got a lot of support in yesterday's video for calling things the way it is. A lot of fans are feeling the same way. I'm going to take a bit of this is a tweet I believe by Blue Jays today, and they said the Blue Jays are putting on a masterclass choke job. Essentially, this is the playoff. You can see the chart there. Their odds went up to down. But coming into the series, I think it was above 80, and now it's down to 61.5% chance to make the playoffs. Now this is with 2 games remaining against the Texas Rangers, and we showed you that chart. I believe it was yesterday or 2 videos ago. It would have been 2 videos ago, before the series started. Now, if we end up splitting the series, our playoff odds will still sit at 80%, but that's kind of aside from the point here. Like you just said, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. since May 1st has been a league average hitter with no power. Kevin Biggio has been, like I said, a wonderful surprise, and Kevin Kiermaier has been phenomenal all season. And in a year that we had guys, all of our new acquisitions, Kevin Kiermaier, Dalton Varsho to a lesser degree, and Brandon Belt, have overperformed expectations by a hefty margin. It's a year that and Whit Merrifield as well. He's been cold as of late, but as a whole, he exceeded expectations for the first 130 games or whatever. Everything kind of just fell apart for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this year, and if he was putting up, people say that his season last year at the time was not very good. If he put up a 132 WRC plus like he did last year, this year, the Jays would probably be fighting for a potential AL East. At the very least, we'd be in a comfortable playoff spot. So it's very, very unfortunate. However, you can see there's still chance. We're still above average in the we're 61.5%, but the bigger picture here is there's definitely some issues, and we have 15 or how many games is left, 17 games to figure out they have 17 games to prove themselves, the offense that is, and the team. And I know you're kind of off the wagon to a degree, and at the very least, if all fails, then we're going to be able to cover it, and we'll be able to talk about it how it is. But one glimmer of hope, Peter, and let's take a positive light here for the last couple minutes, is that the schedule's as bad as the Blue Jays have been, and who knows if they're going to be able to make an impact in the playoffs, and I'll leave that up to you guys to decide that. But we're favored when it comes to playoffs. Yeah, we lost both tiebreakers against the Mariners and the Rangers. We do have it against the Astros, but Peter, if you look at the schedule of the Texas Rangers, it favors us very, very well. But we have to win the next 2 games regardless. And then they play the Guardians, which is fairly easy. And then they play the Red Sox. And the key here is they play the Mariners 6 times before the season ends, which is really humongous for the Toronto Blue Jays if they want to make the playoffs, because obviously those are the 2 teams that we're fighting against in the wild card spot. So any quick thoughts on this? I know, this is not what a lot of Jays fans want to see. We needed to take care of business, and we still have a chance to split. And if you would have told me that we split coming into the series, it's not what you want, but I'll take a split at this point. If we win the next 2, we can kind of reevaluate from there, but we're in a fine spot to make the playoffs. But the bigger picture is what you discussed. But let's just take it from a microscopic perspective for a second.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure, anything could happen when you're in the playoffs, but they just haven't shown flashes of a team that can make a run. And what's stopping the Blue Jays from running it back if they sneak into the playoffs and manage to win a game miraculously? They're going to say they're going to buy into the core. They're going to say, okay, this is a winning team. We just need to make a couple more additions. But I don't have a good feeling about this core going forward. They haven't shown any growth when it comes to leadership. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette constantly don't hustle. They constantly make boneheaded plays. Now, they're still young. They still have chances to grow and mature as players. But this is supposed to be their team. This was supposed to be the time when they take this franchise over and bring them to new heights that they haven't experienced since 2015, 2016. And we just haven't seen that kind of ability to go ahead and do that from their 2 quote unquote superstars. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the day when they go ahead and do that. And when you talk about the Mariners and the Rangers playing themselves, and that's the Jays' hope of making the playoffs, it shouldn't have come down to that, Nick. The Jays have had every opportunity to take a stranglehold of that final wild card spot. They've been losing games all of a sudden. So have the Astros. So have the Rangers. So have the Mariners. And we still find ourselves 0.5 games out of a playoff spot. So they've had every chance to go ahead and take a firm grip on a final wild card spot, and even on a better wild card spot. And they haven't been able to go ahead and do that. They're now relying on other teams to control whether or not they make the playoffs. And that's just not a good spot to be in, especially for a team that came into the year with all these expectations, with all these lofty expectations, individual expectations as well. And none of them have been met. It's been a very disappointing season as a Jays fan. Obviously, it's our job to be critical of the team, and it's our job to call it how we see it, Nick. But the way I see it right now is that this team is just not capable of doing anything special in the playoffs. Now, I want to be optimistic. I want to believe that they can win a playoff series. And as a lifelong Blue Jay fan, I want to see it. But I'm not going to trick myself, and I'm not going to bamboozle myself into believing that, because I can't see a world where it happens.
I think baseball is weird. I'm on the other side a little bit. I think it still could happen, but I do agree with the majority of your points. One thing I will quickly note before we end is that I think as Vladimir Guerrero Jr., everything you said is true. I think Bo Bichette's taken a bit of a step this year, especially on the defensive end and hitting, hustling. You can make the argument, but I think Bo Bichette's a guy that going forward might be a bit of a bigger piece. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you see it more than anyone, and I'm not trying to bash on him. The hitting wasn't there. You see him staring at fly balls that end up being a double and that's turned into a single. So all those things need to be, fixed, and who knows what's going to happen. Baseball is super weird. We could come back to this video in 2 weeks and we could be, gearing up for a playoff series against the Twins. So who knows what's going to happen, but this was a video that we wanted to make. We don't make one like this too often, but like you said, it's time that the Blue Jays, do something, and they literally have, I don't know how many games are left, to less than 20 games left to decide their future, and it really starts with tonight, because if they don't win the next 2 games, then our playoff odds drop below 50% for the first time in a little bit there. So any quick final thoughts before we wrap up? And I'm curious to see what you all think in the comments section, because I know a lot of you are probably going to let the Blue Jays have it in the comment section.
Yeah, and you should. You rightfully should. As a Blue Jay fan, you have every right to be frustrated with the way that this team has performed. They should be a World Series team. They should be up here. They've been all the way down here, kind of in the middle, a team that you're not really sure what to expect of. So I want to say something quickly before we end here. We were all talking about the little things, the defense, the base running coming into the season. And for the most part, it has been improved over the last season, but there was too much of an emphasis on that for them to have such an atrocious year in that department. Like it was all about defense. It was all about doing the little things and focusing on winning playoff style baseball games. And they just haven't taken a leap. So I think if the Blue Jays don't get it done, I think if they don't make the playoffs here, there's going to be a long look in the mirror for Ross Atkins and everyone in that front office, because changes are going to need to be made over the offseason if things just don't go the way that they should be going.
And that'll be something that we'll make sure to cover depending on how the next 5 to 10 games go, because by then we'll have a pretty good understanding. But let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. We'll make sure to read all of them, and I'm curious to see what you all think about the Jays. But let's take it a game at a time. We're still in it, so keep supporting the Jays. Just you can be critical in the same time. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully the Jays can give us some life tonight. See you tomorrow.